We are now we'll be joined by Don Woodstock. He ran for mayor in the last civic election 2018, I believe. And during that time, in 2018 then, he mentioned in our previous interview with him that he presented the proposal to Mayor Brian Bowman for the tiny homes project. Now, Don, can you hear me? Hello, Don. Don? We cannot hear you, Don. Check your microphone, please. All right. So, yeah, as I was saying, and during the first part of our program here, we discussed about our interview with Vivian Santos, where she mentioned that she can't really remember the proposal that was made by Don Woodstock with respect to the tiny. She also mentioned that she was very new then as a newly elected city councilor of Point Douglas Ward. Don Woodstock is now in the house, and I hope he can hear us. Don, can you hear us? Hello, Don.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Good. How are you, Don?
Thank you.
Yes. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well, my friend. I'm doing well.
Okay, so Don, you called me this morning.
It's a little spotty where we are, but I guess you can see a little bit clearer. Good.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you can hear me, I was just saying that you called me.
I'm hearing you. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello.
Okay.
Okay.
So the internet here is not so great. So you have to bear with me. But
no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, you go ahead.
So what happened?
You mentioned about my interview with Vivian Santos, and then you have now at least 5 minutes to talk about or to give your comment about my interview with Vivian Santos that was aired last week. Go ahead, Don Woodstock.
Okay. So Tommy Prince Jr. and myself, we went door to door in the community where Sergeant Tommy Prince is a piece of land that is dedicated to him. And currently there is Floor Place, which is slated next to this property. The original land was designated for housing. No, I sent you a link on your Facebook page. So if you get a chance, you can look on your Facebook page, you'll see the story that was done in 2018, July. In August, the story was done. Sergeant Tommy Prince and I went door to door in July. So it's not only not cool for Councillor Vivian Santos to say this is something she's not aware of, but it's a lie. And I feel very, very sad for her in the sense that here you have one of the most iconic figures in Canadian history, son, who has walked the street and spoke with all the people that are joining the piece of land, which is the normal protocol, and yet still she brushed it aside. Okay? So what I did is I brought to show you guys the actual petitions that was signed by the residents in that area. So if for any reason Miss Councillor Santos says that this was not given to her nor presented to her, that's not the case. You could also check the city's archives when Tommy Prince and myself made a presentation at City Hall. So even if she's not aware of it, she should at least be able to check the archives and know maybe she was not there that day when we made the presentation to council. Maybe she was out. Maybe she was preoccupied doing something else. So I am troubled by the fact that here is a constituency in our ward, in our district. There's a project that Homes for Heroes Foundation is asking the civic government to partner with them and not to give them money. They're not looking for money. They're looking for a piece of land. And the land that we are asking them for is land that was originally designated from World War I for housing. So it's easy. It's an easy decision for anybody to get behind, but there are other factors that Councillor Santos don't want to talk about. Why she wouldn't have done something like this, because it's a no-brainer. And those are the factors that are very troubling. Okay, the underlying reasons why she won't be. Meanwhile, I hear her excited about the project that is in its infantry stage for a containers to be converted into homes. Now, while that may be a good start in the thought process, I don't know of any containers that are being converted into homes in Winnipeg, Manitoba, given our weather. And I don't know how viable this is going to be. And yet still, a company that has a more viable track record of doing projects like this across Canada approach us and say, let's do something. And the city of Winnipeg has not been in touch with those guys. That's a shame. That's a shame. And so what is happening now, because we have 3 people died on the street, and there's a 4th person with a body that's been found, nobody wants to say whether or not this is a homeless thing, and the police is going to try and keep it hush-hush, because it's embarrassing, especially for a mayor who wants to talk about Aboriginal rights and needs and wants and tell everybody he is Aboriginal, but at the same time, his own people are at the bottom of the ladder, and he hasn't done anything more than create a righteous indignation of why we should accept Aboriginal cultures and feeling when nobody was contesting that in the first place. Nobody says that the Aboriginal people, that this is not their land. Nobody has ever, I have not seen any well-thinking individual in politics or otherwise in business says this is not, this was never Aboriginal land. Nobody's saying that, but he finds it very easy, and it's supported by Councillor Vivian Santos. It's to support that notion that we must all agree that this is the land of the First Nation, the Aboriginal, and we must all say this, and we must all try to come together around this one idea. Well, wait a minute. Talk is cheap. Actions speak louder than words. So to me, it's very troubling that the land is there, the space is available. A part of the land is now called Flora Place. All of that land was currently was designated by the federal government for housing from World War I and II. The city bulldozed the land in the 70s because it was badly kept and badly run down. And they have a Sergeant Tommy Prince memorial on that piece of land. So they're very comfortable to give a flag raising ceremony. They're very comfortable to give, put a medal on your chest. But in terms of actually doing something to solve the problem, they are interested in waiting until there's a major outcry. There was more than 180 people who saw the post that I put out and who have read it and talked about it in the last 3 weeks. More than 180,000 Winnipeggers either talked about it, and so all of a sudden they're nervous. And if you notice what's happening, you have a set of councillors, both divided council, because you have Miss Councillor Gilroy, you have Councillor Santos, you have Councillor, and there's another lady who is doing something that relates to working with one group, which is the downtown group, to provide housing. And then you have Councillor Kevin Klein and 2 other councillors doing something for the Lighthouse Mission. Could we not have had a consensus to pool all of their resources and thought process together and come up with a plan that would afford to provide housing for the people at the bottom of the ladder who is going to potentially follow? We know winter is coming. We know summer is coming. And so we don't have to wait until in the middle of winter when 3 people are dead for us to kind of figure out that we need to do something. That's the troubling part. And that I don't like, because what they're doing, they're patting themselves on the back. Meanwhile, the problem exists. And God knows where these things are going to turn and lead to. And that's wrong. And so I think she owes myself and she owes Tommy Prince Jr. an apology. It was handed to her. I spoke Mike Packerton to her. She was Mike Packerton's assistant before she left, before Mike Packerton left. She knew of the project before it was presented to council. And for her to come and say that she is not aware of it, that's wrong. That's wrong. That is totally disrespecting Tommy Prince's effort, totally disrespecting my efforts, totally disrespecting the 75 signatures that we have from the neighbors, from the people who signed the petition that says that they have no problem with you piece of land. It's totally disrespecting those people. And I have given not just Miss Councillor Santos this, I have given Councillor Kevin Klein this information 2 years ago.
Don,
2 years
Don, if you can
Kevin. Yes.
Don, I have a question. What did you give to Mayor Brian Bowman and the Councillor Vivian Santos? The petition paper?
The petition paper that asks for the land that the Homes for Heroes Foundation, who has done building across Canada for tiny home projects, and all they wanted was a piece of land. We found the land. We found land, empty land that is available. And so all they had to do, and all we asked them to do, was to coordinate that concept with Homes for Heroes Foundation so that we can get a project like Homes for Heroes has built in Calgary and other places, that project in Winnipeg. These guys have a track record of what they're doing. They have a real good model for doing what they're doing. Why not work with them?
Sorry, Don. Sorry to interrupt you again. So you submitted to the mayor and Vivian Santos the petition signed by the neighborhood, like the residents in the area, that they have saying that we had no problem with the project. However, if I understand this correctly, there was no proposal yet. Correct?
So Homes for Heroes did not commission Don Woodstock nor Tommy Prince Jr. to present proposal on their behalf. What we talked about was, if we find a piece of land, would you be able to, once the land is identified and is suitable, would you be willing to come to Winnipeg? They said yes. So much so that 2 years ago, I invited the president for Homes for Heroes to sit down with Councillor Kevin Klein and outline their plans and proposal for what they're thinking of. And Kevin Klein is aware of this piece of land that we're talking about. So even 2 years ago, when we sat down with Kevin Klein, Councillor Klein, we still don't get anywhere, because again, what is actually very troubling here, folks, is there's some underlying issues that needs to be addressed. And one of them is there are too many people and organizations that are involved in the business of homelessness, and they don't want you to come into their camp. So as a result of that, the people don't get the help they have. We have more than enough resources that we can help people. And besides, statistics, facts have been shown and been proven, it is cheaper for the taxpayers, for you and I, because ultimately, when the ambulance or the police is called, Noel, who you think is paying for it? When these people are struggling, it's me and you. When we buy coffee, when we buy groceries, it's me and you. So they don't want to educate the rest of the masses that they're not doing me a favor. They're not doing Tommy Prince a favor, Junior a favor. It's smart economics. It makes sense. It's a humanitarian thing. It's a good thing to do. It's a genuine good thing to do when you can provide homes. Besides, we have the Human Rights Museum right here, and yet still we have people dying on the street. The basic, Canada has declared that the basic human rights, housing is one of the basic human rights. So what are we doing, folks? What are we doing?
Yeah, Don, last question before I let you go. Because this happened 2018, I was just wondering what happened in between. Like you mentioned, or you said that the mayor did not do anything, Vivian Santos did not do anything. What happened in between from 2018 until now? Did you follow up with the mayor, with Kevin Klein, or what happened in between, and what's the status of this, and what are your steps to realize this project, of making this project a reality?
So realizing that our conversation with Kevin Lamoureux went nowhere, because we, out of frustration, we went and spoke with Kevin Lamoureux. And Kevin Lamoureux and I met with Tommy Prince Jr. And he knows, and Kevin Lamoureux is a veteran himself. And Kevin said it's a great idea. And he said, leave it to him. He knows who Homes for Heroes are, so forth. I have talked to MPs I have had conversation with MLAs. I don't want to call their name because I don't want to embarrass anybody more. Because every time I mention it, how much they don't do anything, they seem to be embarrassed by it. But the truth is, the only thing left for me to do, which I have done, is I have identified two business partners who said to me they are willing to put their own money into this project to at least get it off the ground and hopefully get the government involved. One of them have committed more than $400,000. Now, that is just commitment. So until it is actually set in stone, I don't want to say who they are, and they themselves have told me, see what the government is doing, because now for the first time last week the government announced that they are going to put $2.5 million into housing. Well, for 2 years, over a 2-year period. It's the same thing we did with the Bruce Oak Recovery Center. We have anybody who is on meth, it takes them 2 years to come off meth. The Bruce Oak Recovery Center get millions of dollars from the government on a model that will provide services for people in a 3-month window. No, you don't have to be a mathematician or an economic genius to figure out that if it takes someone 2 years to come off meth, any model that you put on paper that does not incorporate a 2-year window to help that person is a flawed model and is nothing more than an opportunity to fatten your friends and your family. That's exactly what the government is doing with this $2.5 million over 2 years to provide housing. Everybody is jumping up because they want the heat to come off them. And I'm saying to folks, don't stop. Keep pressuring them because they have not done what they really need to do. They need to break this cycle up. There's mental health issues why people are on the street. There are financial issues why some people are on the street. There is a criminal element into those people that are on the street. I have walked the streets. I have talked to people. My wife and I have YouTube videos of us documenting us talking to people. So what I'm saying to you that I am not a nurse. I'm not a medical practitioner. I'm just an average guy who decided to take it up and find out what the facts are. And believe me, when I see politicians like Councillor Vivian Santos, barefaced lie about something that was presented to her, and she know of it, okay? And then she's gonna talk about it in the way she do. That is troubling. That's troubling.
Well, thank you very much, Don, for your time, and we will touch base again for more issues. All the best to you, my friend.
You bet you. All the best, and keep on doing what you guys are doing, okay?
Take care.
Right on, man.